What was it that inspired you to write the New Leadership Paradigm?
When I first got the idea to write the book, I resisted it. I thought to myself, well, why would I want to write a book on leadership when there are so many books on leadership already out there? And to prove the point to myself, I went to Amazon.com and I did a search on leadership. And believe it or not, there were 300,000 books on leadership. And then I thought, well, let me narrow down my search a little bit. So I added words to the word leadership. These words being sort of a nexus of topics around leadership that I thought were important. I actually found only 8 books. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I should write a book on leadership. And then I had another idea. And I thought, well, you know, who's writing about leadership? And I thought, you know, there's Jack Welch and there's Donald Trump and there's many other people. And I thought, so what are they writing about? So I bought some of their books and I analyzed them. And because we have a way of mapping values to 7 levels of consciousness, I thought, well, let me map the values of these authors, these leadership authors, to our model to see where they're operating from. Every author of each one of those books was writing about leadership from the levels of consciousness at which they operated from. And so having a model which has 7 levels of consciousness, 7 levels of leadership consciousness, I know what it takes to be a full spectrum leader. That is to be able to operate at all levels of consciousness. And so what was missing for me was the fact that even though many of these authors were covering different levels of consciousness very well, there was nobody writing from a full spectrum approach. So I began to think to myself, okay, maybe I shouldn't resist this idea so much. Maybe, you know, maybe this is a calling. Maybe I should really focus on writing this book. And so I thought, well, I'll get started and see what happens. Well, as I got into it, the whole thing just flowed. It was a journey which was really important to me, because as I was moving forward down this path of writing the book, I was realizing that there was so much more to it than a book. Because I thought, well, you know, the book's all well and good, but as I was covering certain topics, I realized there was a crisis of leadership in the world, and that we needed to have some way of increasing the number of people in the world who could be trained in leadership development. Because what I realized was that leadership development is really for the rich elite. You know, there's millions of people in the world who could benefit from a world-class leadership development system. So instead of it just being a book, I thought, well, I'm going to add to the book. I'm going to create a website that people, anybody in the world can go to and learn about leadership development. And then I got the idea of including downloadable leadership learning modules, one for leading self, really about personal transformation, one for leading a team, leading an organization, and leading in society. And gradually that whole idea evolved into what I would call the New Leadership Paradigm learning system.